Noble Faculty Podcast.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Noble Faculty Podcast. I am your host, Tobalashe. I am here with you today. I'm alone today, so I'm feeling a little bit sad that I'm alone, but I'm still happy to be able to be given this opportunity to present another episode to you. Today is episode 11, and I keep on saying how amazed I am that we keep on going, because I never thought it would be the case, but here we are, episode 11, and you're welcome to the Noble Faculty Podcast. We are only here to do one thing: to motivate, to encourage, and inspire. And as you know, if you're a regular listener to the podcast, you know our watchword or our catchphrase is aspire, act, achieve. It's that simple. Aspire, act, and achieve. And I'm not going to take too much time talking about irrelevant things today. So I want to talk about when you're in a position and you're about to start making moves. You have a seat at the table. How do you behave? What do you do? And that's what I want to talk about today. Your seat at the table. This is not about anybody else. Remember that. This is about you. This is about how you can benefit from this. This is about what you can get out of the situation. And why I'm saying this is because many times a lot of people end up going into ventures or partnerships or collaborations where they are not benefiting from the intended relationship. So that's the reason why I want to talk about this today. So kind of the context, I want to ask this question. I want to ask 3 questions of you. Number 1, are you sitting at the right table? Whatever you're about to be involved with, is it right for you? Not every attractive opportunity is your opportunity. That doesn't mean you should turn down every opportunity. That's not what I'm trying to say. But sometimes there are opportunities that are not for you. Is this opportunity for you? So that's the first thing. Are you at the right table? Second thing I want to say is, once you've realized that you're at the right table, you need to define your boundaries. What do I mean by define your boundaries? What are you going to find acceptable and what don't you find acceptable in anything you do in this life? You need to know what you can take and what you can't take. You need to know what your deal breakers are. You need to know where you draw the line and what is going too far by your standards. This is not about what other people find normal. This is about what you set as a boundary for yourself. So, define your boundaries. Where does the line stop with you? What is allowed in and what do you want to keep out? What do you find unacceptable? The last question I want to ask you is, who's sitting at your table? Who is sitting at your table with you and what are they bringing to the table? This is quite important. Sometimes you might have the right opportunity, you might have the right vehicle, it might be the right timing, but you don't have the right people. This is quite important as well. If you have the right vision, the right mindset, the right opportunity, the wrong people can derail you. It's quite important that you have the right people around you for the right reasons at the right time. It's all got to be aligned, because one misstep can derail your whole vision, can derail your whole ambition. So it's important that you have the right people. So remember the 3 questions that I want you to ask yourself. First of all, are you at the right table? Which means, is this the right opportunity for you? Have you defined your boundaries? I.e., what do you find acceptable? What won't you find acceptable? Where are you willing to compromise and where are you not? And the third question is, who is sitting at your table and what do they bring? Some people are leeches. This is just the honest truth. Some people are there for you to do the work and for them to get the benefits of the work that you have done. You need to be careful of these kind of people. We're going to go into some quick action points. Number 1, don't have a bad opinion of yourself. Don't undervalue yourself. This is quite important. If you sell yourself short, if you feel bad about yourself, if you talk bad about yourself, if you present yourself as if you are less than others, people will treat you as such. People tend to believe us. You will be shocked at the amount of body language that we give off and how people react to our body language. Body language is quite a key part of your communication. So it's important that you're not selling yourself short, or you don't have a bad opinion of yourself. That's very, very important. Don't undervalue yourself. You are at that table because you've earned the right to be at that table. So do not sell yourself short. Stop acting like you're grateful to people for having the opportunity. I'm not saying don't be humble, but you are at that opportunity. You're at that table for a reason. It's because you're worth it. So don't sell yourself short. Second thing I want you to take away from this is know what you bring to the table. There is no point in you coming to an opportunity waiting for you to leech off other people. I'll be honest with you. You're not showing yourself to be the best version of yourself. That's the first thing. Secondly, if people treat you badly, well, it's because you haven't proved what you're bringing to the table. And I know everybody listening to this podcast, they bring something to the table. I know you have something within you to bring to the table. It doesn't matter, even if it's an idea, even if it's some action, if it's a skill, if it's some knowledge, something. Everybody has something to bring to the table. So don't sell yourself short, and make sure you know what you're bringing to the table. Because if you don't know what you're bringing to the table, how would you be able to value yourself? How would you know what your value is? The third thing I want to say to you is do what you need to do to bridge the gap between where you are and where you want to be. So you've established that you don't have a bad opinion of yourself. Great. You value yourself and you know what you bring to the table. But sometimes where you are is not up to where you want to be. That's okay. Make sure you put in the work for you to get to where you want to be. Whether it's about your personal, whether it's about your, your personal brand, whether it's about your work, your career, there is a gap between where you are and where you want to be. If you find that there is a gap there, do everything you can. Do what you need to bridge that gap. It's always about improving onwards and upwards. We've always got to be progressing. And I'm hoping and praying that all of you are progressing every time you hear my podcast. So make sure you're not stopping where you are. We are not all where we want to be, but you can work towards getting there. So that's the third point I wanted to make to you. It's important for you to understand that everything I'm talking to you about now is not about money. It's about value. There's a very big difference between money and value. If you focus on being good, let me rephrase that. Focus on being great at what you do. Focus on being excellent at what you do. People will value that and the money will follow you. Don't go chasing the money. So that's not a sort of piece of advice for today. I'm just trying to let you know that everything I'm talking about here is how you value yourself, not in monetary terms, but about what you bring to the table, how influential you are or how influential your presence is, and how you can change the trajectory of whatever you're involved with. And then the last thing I wanted to say to you is anytime you have an opportunity where you're working with others, make sure, this is very important, make sure that your goals are aligned. Very important. If your goals are not aligned and you're working towards different goals, I can almost guarantee you that project, whatever you're working on, will not be successful because your interests are different. Your goals are different. So the amount of passion, the amount of action and effort that you put into the situation might be different, especially if you're trying to go in two different directions. So I'm going to recap on those actions. Action number 1, do not have a bad opinion of yourself. Don't undervalue yourself. Action number 2, know what you bring to the table. Action number 3, do what you need to do to bridge a gap between where you are and where you want to be. And action number 4, are your goals aligned with those around your table? That is the end of today's session. I know it's a quick one. Just wanted to let you know that we're still working hard to bring you better content. I'm actually trying to arrange some guests. I'm trying to change the format a little bit. It would still be focused around the motivation. It's just that I want to bring in more guests to kind of give you a different flavor. People who would have a different opinion or who've had different experiences. And this is all to try and inspire you. This is all to let you know that no matter what you've been through, it is not the end. The time is always right to do right. You have to do right by yourself. You've got to try. You owe it to yourself to try and make your own life better. You deserve a life of grace. You deserve a life of greatness. So it's important that you try to do better by yourself. Give yourself better. Give yourself a legacy. Give yourself to look back on, where you will be able to laugh at the things you were going through before, where you were able to kind of look back and say, you know what, it was hard then, but it is even better now. And I just wanted to say, this is kind of my, I think this is my third time. I think this is my third time recording in this studio. I'll be honest with you, I'm quite proud of myself. I was looking at a piece of paper that I wrote down some of my goals from May. And the goal or the objective of owning a studio was not one of them. As I said, I only thought of that after I had started this podcast. However, I wrote down some things and I've almost achieved all of them. So I was writing down what are the things that I wanted to do within the next 6 months. And one of them was, I think, resolve some of the situations around my job, which I didn't resolve as such, but I let it go because I realized that it was detrimental to my health. It was detrimental to my mental state, my state of mind. So I just had to let some situations go. And in the process of letting those things go, I was able to focus on the things that were important to me, like starting this podcast, like being able to help people, motivate people. This is where, again, one of my other goals, my new goal of becoming a life coach has now come in. I have started this studio, as I keep on saying. I know you've probably heard this loads of times. The only reason why it's such a big deal for me is because in under 3 months, we've been able to achieve something great. And I'm telling you, I'm not one of the best people for executing. But due to hard work and commitment, I was able to do it. So if you put in the work and you commit to yourself, you can achieve something great in under 3 months. Do me a favor, write down on a piece of paper a goal that you want to achieve within the next 3 months, a goal you want to achieve in the next 6 months, and a goal you want to achieve in the next year. I want you to also write on that piece of paper, what do I have that is going to aid me in achieving these things? So these are your strengths and these are your opportunities. What can help me in achieving these goals? The 3-month goal, the 6-month goal, and the 1-year goal. And then on that same paper as well, I want you to also write what are the areas or what are the things that can stop me from achieving those things in 3 months, 6 months, and a year. I.e., what are your weaknesses that would hinder you from achieving those goals, and what threats are available which will hinder you from achieving those goals. And what I want you to do with them, I want you to review them and put a plan in place as to how you are going to convert your weaknesses into strengths, or how you will adjust for them, and how those threats can be curtailed, stopped, or eliminated altogether. And then work out a plan as to how you will achieve your 3-month goals, your 6-month goals, and your 1-year goal. I am going to continue to revisit this for a while. I want us to put something together. I can do it. And I want you to understand, I might work hard, but I've not been the best at working hard at the right things. And I did this. You can do it. You should do it. And you will do it. I just want to say I have been your host, Tobalashe Habib. I want to thank you for all those who have followed, all those who have listened. Hey, I have a complaint to make. It's not a complaint. I can't even say I'm complaining. I'm not complaining. But I have a statement to make. Please subscribe. Please subscribe to the podcast. We have many ways in which you can listen. In fact, today I'm going to list all of them. I'm going to list all of the ways in which you can listen to today's podcast. And the reason why you should subscribe is you don't even need to wait for me to kind of send you a link anymore, because anytime there's a new episode, you will get the alert. You can subscribe through Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Overcast, Stitcher, Spotify, Pocket Cast, Castro, Radio Public, Breaker, TuneIn, Castbox, iHeartRadio. We're on iHeartRadio, people. So there are many ways in which you can subscribe. You can also visit the podcast page on noblefaculty.transistor.fm, and that's where that's the kind of homepage for the podcast. I want to say a big thank you for listening to another episode. As you know, we bring you this weekly. I'm trying not to fail. I'm trying to be consistent. And we are Noble Faculty. We are noble. We are awesome. Remember, aspire, act, achieve. God bless. We are awesome.
We are noble.
We are able.
You have just listened to the Noble Faculty Podcast. You have been put on this earth for a purpose.
If you are inconsistent at something, then you are consistent. Don't waste your gift.
The time is always right to do right.
Lead, follow, or get out of the way. Get out of the fear zone. Villagers remind you of how far you have come and how far you need to go.
You have just listened to the Noble Faculty Podcast. The Noble Faculty Podcast. The Noble Faculty Podcast. You have just listened to the Noble Faculty Podcast.